Hello, my name's Amy and welcome back to another vlog. Now let's get the obvious thing out of the way first. We are not currently in the caravan. It is the first week of January as I film this and we have been out of the caravan for about 3 weeks now, possibly slightly more. Now up to the start of December we were coping quite well with the cold and wet weather. It was not warm in the caravan, certainly not, but we were keeping warm, we were keeping dry, and we were expecting to spend the entire winter in there. But then a cold front moved in. In the middle of December, we had a couple of weeks of incredibly cold weather. Here, we think the lowest temperature it got down to was about -14. That is much colder than we are used to in this part of the world in winter, and it went on and on and on. Now, we still might have stayed in the caravan were it not for one very important point. The pipes froze. This happened on about the first night of the cold snap. It tends to be not much warmer in the caravan than it is outside because it has very poor insulation, and it was actually pipes leading to the shower inside the walls of the caravan that just froze solid. And as the cold weather progressed, more and more things kept freezing. So we had no water, and then all the drainage pipes also froze up. It was so cold outside and inside the caravan that there was simply nothing we could do to thaw things out. All we could do was wait until the weather improved. So we spent a couple of weeks before Christmas living in the house, which is our Airbnb. Luckily there were no guests in for that period. And then we turned the water back on in the caravan, and that just made things worse. We had multiple pipes that had split when they were frozen, and we had a flood across the caravan floor. We are in the process of installing a wood burning stove because it has just been absolutely impossible to keep the caravan warm. We've been using electric up to this point, but the cost of electric is prohibitively high right now. And of course the carpets are up because the floor got wet. I will say even living in the house has not been easy. There was about a 24-hour period where even the water to the house froze solid in the cold snap. We have a borehole here rather than mains water, and we have a pump shed, and parts of the pipes in there froze, particularly the expansion vessel. Now there is actually a heater in the pump shed, but it just could not keep up with the cold weather. And again, the very high cost of electric at the moment is making the house very expensive to heat. We are again relying on a wood burning stove. We do have an air source heat pump here, but it is costing a fortune to run. We're having someone come out and look at it next month to see if it's working properly, because right now it is pretty much too expensive to turn it on. But we are staying warm. We have also got gas central heating in quite a lot of the house, and of course we've got the stove. So we've been back here since going away for a couple of weeks to visit family over Christmas, and we are warm and we are dry and we are comfortable. We now have until the middle of February to get the caravan livable again because we do have guests in the house in February. Honestly, right now that brings all its own worries. It has been really wet since before Christmas, which means our parking area is turning into a sea of mud. We're also trying to do work on the barn, but the whole thing is flooded because we've dug the floor out and water is pouring through the walls. I've said in lots of vlogs before that I do not enjoy winter. I don't like the cold grey days. We don't get a lot of sun here in winter. We certainly don't usually get snow. It is just a lot of wet and windy weather. Very dark mornings and evenings, and to be honest, on a day like today when it is pouring with rain, it pretty much never gets light. So I feel a little bit like I am in survival mode right now. Obviously there's a lot of stress with dealing with the house and the caravan and the weather and the animals and the barn. There is a lot going on, but we're also waiting to try and get a builder on site, and we're waiting for better weather. So I have been filling my time with as much writing as possible. I have dived into another book. This is one I actually started last year and wrote about 17,000 words of, but it just never really clicked. I couldn't get a handle on the characters and I felt like the writing was very flat. Now, looking at it again, it is not as bad as I thought. It's pretty readable. But I have decided to rewrite it from scratch because over the Christmas break, my brain was obviously working away feverishly, and I came up with some more detail about the characters that really brought them to life for me. So I'm in the process of rewriting the first 17,000 words. I'm up to about 14,000 as of this morning, and I am liking this draft so much more. I'm really excited to carry on through the story and see where it goes. So I am keeping myself occupied, but at the same time, I am really hoping for some better weather soon. I realise we've got a very strange camera angle here because I have got the camera propped on an upturned laundry basket. In all the chaos of moving between the caravan and the house and going away several times across December and January, I don't actually know where my tripod has ended up. So we are making do. It is actually a couple of weeks since I last filmed, and there are several reasons for that. One is that I just haven't really felt like picking up the camera. I think a part of me was waiting for things to settle down and to become more organised. And honestly, I kind of wanted things to be a bit more aesthetic. I wanted the caravan to be finished and tidied up, or I wanted to have got round to tidying up the house, or I wanted the weather to be better, or something to have changed. And yet things are just progressing so very slowly that I realised that either I update the vlog and just accept that things are not perfect, or I completely scrap it. And I didn't want to do that. So let's talk updates. Like I said, the caravan is definitely in progress. We've now got the wood burning stove in, so that is going to make a huge difference to how warm and dry the caravan feels. The biggest problem right now is that while we were cleaning up from the burst pipes, we discovered that the exterior walls of the caravan are leaking quite badly in a couple of places. We are doing everything we can to keep the water out, but some of the floorboards are already very damp, and it's just causing a lot of headaches trying to sort everything out. Luckily, we have got another 2-3 weeks until we have to move out of the house, so that is giving us time to get the caravan sorted. But honestly, it is just an extra complication that we really didn't need. Now, in terms of writing, January has been a bit of a roller coaster. On the surface, it looks like it has been going really well. I have written about a third of a book since the 2nd of January, and this isn't a particularly short book, it's a reasonably length fantasy book. So like I said, a third of that and a couple of other things. I have really been churning out the words this month, and I'm actually really happy with everything I've drafted. I do tend to find that I like the results more when I do draft faster, so having the time to do that this month has been fantastic. On the publishing side though, things are less straightforward, and this is one of the things that has been causing me a lot of stress over the last week. Honestly, I don't even know how much I want to talk about it at this point because I'm still in the middle of processing some of the decisions I've made and deciding where to go from here. The short version though is that the last book I published, which came out in November of last year, is now no longer available for sale. I have taken it down. I don't yet know what I'm going to do. There is a chance I will rewrite it or edit it and put it back up. There is a chance it is staying down permanently and I will continue the series some other way. Like I said, this is a decision that's still very much in flux and I don't really know where I'm going yet. So I'm definitely not thrilled about taking down a book that I've only just published. It's not something I've ever done before. The only time I've completely unpublished a book is when I was re-uploading it with a new title and cover. And there isn't any pithy conclusion I can give you here. The book is down, I'm trying to decide what to do about it. It might take a while, honestly. I don't think I'm going to come to any quick decisions over this. So the only other thing I wanted to mention in this vlog is that I have taken up knitting again. Now this is something I tried about 10 years ago, and I made a couple of small things, but I was really struggling with RSI in my arm at the time, and the knitting very much exacerbated it. But I was watching my mum knit over the weekend, and I decided I'd like to get back into it. So I have made absolutely nothing so far, but I did dig out some yarn and some needles, and I'm just kind of reacquainting myself with the process. I did notice as soon as I started getting the needles out that my brain immediately jumped to ways to monetize it. Maybe I could set up a vlog channel talking about knitting, or I could get myself good enough at knitting to start selling what I made, or to make patterns, or I honestly don't know. Like I said, I've knit maybe 2 small things in my entire life, but this is, I think, what the internet does to us as content creators. As soon as you come up with a new hobby or a new interest, the cogs start whirring in your brain and you start thinking about how you can make money out of it. So I'm very much putting those thoughts aside right now. I am literally only committing at the moment to knitting a scarf for one of my daughter's soft toys, and then my daughter would also like a scarf for herself. 2 very small, simple things, and that is all I'm committing to. And I think, in fact, I am going to end the vlog here. I would like to offer some kind of wrap up, a conclusion. Honestly, I don't think I've got one. A lot of things remain to be finished right now, and some of them are going to take weeks, if not months. We're still working on the caravan. We are still sort of camping out in the house. I don't know what I'm doing with my publishing. I have got many books half finished. It is still very much the middle of winter, and it will be at least another month before it feels anything like spring here. Probably more like 2 or even 3 months. And there are so many other things half done as well. Trying to apply for a mortgage, trying to make progress on the barn, various other projects like setting up a website for the business. Some of these things have been ongoing for a very long time, some of them are relatively new, but none of them are going to simply wrap themselves up in the next couple of days for the sake of this vlog. But while I feel like I am living in the middle of things half finished, you do not have to, because this vlog is now coming to a close. Thank you very much for watching. I am hoping to get on a more consistent vlog schedule as we get into spring, and I am hoping that some of the things that I've talked about today will actually resolve themselves at some point. So until then, take care of yourselves everyone, and I'll see you next time.